Okay, looks like we're live. Looks like the voice isn't quite so live. Oh boy. Out of practice. Again. Oh, your one messy stencil. Yeah, you need a wash. Hey Jim, lettuce repair? Hey, it's been a while since I've seen you here, lettuce repair. You been on holiday or something? Ah, no, I just used water-based alcohol on this. Well, yeah, my combination of water and alcohol. Should have just been using pure IPA. Fortunately, it doesn't look like it's caused too much drama this time. Thank goodness. Grass Puddle, Jean-Marc, Sylvie, Moles. Okay. This is pretty much the last batch that I have here. Like I don't have enough stock to do any more. I've got more boards, I just don't have more parts. So if I want to build more than this batch, then yeah, gonna have to order new parts. And that's sort of like a $1,000 US decision to make. You know, is it worth it or is it not? I guess I'm the one that has to make that choice. Like it's not the sort of thing that's going to sell like hotcakes anymore at the moment. Yeah, it's the initial batch is done. The people that were desperate for it got it. So now it's a case of, okay, do I want to add another 50 to stock or whatever? I had some troubles with your leg body. Okay, alright, that's good. Hey, politics. Hey, Martin. Surgery in May really effed up your whole year. It's supposed to be 8 to 12 weeks. Ooh, yeah, that's the trouble with surgery, isn't it? It's always a way up. It's like, is this going to make me better? But what are the knock-on effects? They repair it all. Do not envy anyone in that situation. Hey, Siege. Yes, you do catch one at the start for a change. Okay, so here we go. Just put that there while I wash this stencil. Especially considering it's, like I said, it's going to be a while until I use this again, probably. So I do want to make sure that it goes into storage in a decent state. Hey, links repair. 12:34 p.m. So day is just getting started. I didn't scrape off the excess. Oh well. It is Sunday evening, 8:30. What the hell was that? I gotta go check what that was. Did you hear that noise? Guess not. I'll go check it. Micro? Noise micro? Jason Snakes. I don't know. I mean, my Milo just jumping up on my desk and saying something. Roll out keys into my upload the yeah. Could have been. Got to check every noise around here at night time. You can't be complacent about this stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna load up my torch with another battery. I go through maybe, these last me 1 or 2 nights worth of torch activity. There's only one in each torch. They're not the best torches, but they're pretty good going. I used to charge them through the charge port, but I now just take the battery out and stick it into a charger. It's easier that way. If I convert them to a USB-C connector, then it'd be easier, a lot easier. But I've been looking around, but I haven't found any that I'm happy to settle down with yet. So I'll just keep looking. Jim, sorry to hear about your immunologist being useless. That's really not what you want. You want to be able to have some sort of hope or something coming from a professional. So that's pretty rough if they couldn't give you anything for you. Daylight savings. Yeah, yep. Not for me. I'm very happy to live in Queensland for that reason. Daylight savings is just one of those things that needs to just go away. And yeah, hey, I start on. Alright, here we go. I guess we'll do a zoom in. Oddly feel a bit blind tonight. To be fair, I've been feeling very tired. Like, not to the point of having concerns, but certainly not having the energy I used to have. I think there's a lot of, not to downplay other people's issues, because, a lot of people do have significantly more serious things to worry about than I do. But I'm really struggling to compel myself to get out into the yard and get things done and try to improve life out there. Because I know that if I do it, I feel better for it afterwards, but trying to get started, as always, is the hardest part. And there's only a very limited window which you can do things out here. Like maybe from 5 o'clock to 6:30 you can tolerate the sun. Of course, if you got up at 5 o'clock, then you probably got till about 8 o'clock to get stuff done. Maybe 9 o'clock. But certainly by the time you hit 10 o'clock, you really don't want to be out there in the sun. I know there's plenty of people who do a lot of work out in the sun all day, and yeah, sort of I do admire those people for their durability, although I do worry about the long-term repercussions of what they're choosing to do. Though to be fair, a lot of them probably are not willingly choosing that. They're sort of like, well, we've got to make a living too. So I certainly tip my hat to those people who subject themselves to that kind of thing and get the job done. At the very least, I should be putting up some shade cloth or shading, but even that's a bit of a dilemma. I sort of get locked down with wondering, okay, how should I do this best? Yeah, should I put in posts and then string it up? Do I do it permanent or temporary? Or, yeah, there's a lot of choices to be made, and you start just thrashing around and getting absolutely nothing done. And I'm sort of at that point now. And then come time at night, that when you got to calm down, go to sleep, things like that, I find I'm not able to very well, because I'm thinking, well, I didn't get this done or that done or this done. And you think, well, just do it tomorrow. And yeah, I wish it was that easy, but trying to compel yourself to do things is not always the easiest thing. Hey, kudos. Aging. Yeah, I think there's certainly a bit of that in it. I think repair it all. I agree. I was mentioning to Elita the other night that I no longer get the 11 o'clock second wind. Like, no matter what you sort of did during the day, you start approaching 10:30, 11, you get rejuvenated. I don't get that anymore. I'm like, nah, I just want to lie in bed with the laptop, watch random YouTube videos or something. Yeah, I've sort of lost my zest for really pushing ahead, and that's a bad thing in some ways, because when you run your own business, you do have to have that zest to sort of give yourself an edge. And I'm certainly not well off enough financially to not do that. I feel like if I can get some shade up around the house, that should help a bit. Because believe me, it's tremendously unpleasant at the moment. We've got air conditioning, but even with the air conditioning going at full rate, the radiated heat off the block is dreadful. It's just dreadful. So the air can be cool, but you still get cooked throughout the day simply from the radiated heat. This house, I don't know if it was ever designed to have external cladding or something like that, but right now it's just a 220mm thick concrete block, solid, really solid. It's fine for the first couple of days of the season, but then after that the heat soak comes through and you're just constantly subjected to it. What's the main difference in new Void View software compared to old 4 to 5? Jimmy Collins, there is a bit of a summary on the site, but overall there's a lot more formats support. Well, I shouldn't say. There's more formats supported. Graphics are better user interface. I can't remember. Was the butterfly mode in version 4? I think it was. There's also the mini-map. There's the library cache. There's a lot of things in there that do make it easier to use. The big ones are that it's got TiVo view, and XZZ support file formats. I think they're two big things. I agree, Tom. Yeah, procrastination doesn't work, and I think it burdens me because I know exactly what you're saying, and I'm certainly not trying to kid myself about that. And it's never a perfect situation to go out and do it. It's always going to be something. It's going to be a bit too hot, or there's going to be another job that maybe you could be doing, and there's always going to be a reason you can not do the job. At some point, you still got to do it. For me, I don't want to waste too much time and energy. I know I've got limited amounts of that, and so I don't want to be going and doing a job and then have to rip it up 6 months later. Hey, squishworms. Miles, what course were you trying to do? Like, were you trying to just get a bit of paper qualification or something? Yeah, even if you already technically knew how to do something, but you thought, oh, well, I'll go get it done on paper, so at least then I can, yeah, uh, apply for submit a quote contract or something like that. Cert 4 in networking. Sorry, yeah, Cert 4. Okay. I don't know specifically what that gives you the power to do, but it's like I remember when Microsoft A qualifications were the big thing. It was like, no thanks. Did a beekeeping course yesterday. Alright, Teresa, now that's interesting. I see the damn viromite is slowly but inevitably spreading here in Australia. It's kind of tragic that in the last decade we've had far too many biosecurity lapses. Oh, we've got white spot with the prawns now, that's a problem. Now we've got fire ants, we've got viromite. Yeah, it's getting out of hand. Too many people are managing to push through shonky products, and subsequently we end up with these biosecurity issues coming up. And I can bet you that the person who is responsible for it, the sneaking stuff across or whatever, I can tell you they're not going to be paying the billions of dollars to compensate. Squishworms? Huh. Squishworms, yeah. There can be sometimes legit reasons, but more often than not, it's just overstating small reasons. Certainly, I would say the heat is the biggest problem that we have. You pretty much have to do all your projects in winter around here. And even in winter, it's difficult. There's nothing unusual about having a 30+ day in winter. But overall, you've got a chance. Hey, Serge. And I'm also starting to do what I really did not want to do, and that was starting to look at occasionally doing Samsung screen replacements. It is most definitely not something I'm willingly adding. In my opinion, trying to handle screen replacements for most of the Android devices is kind of a good way to waste your money, burn money. So I'll do it on a case-by-case basis. And people have to just tolerate the fact that they're going to have to wait overnight for the parts. I'm certainly not going to be carrying stock. I mean, there's no way you can realistically carry even 25% of the Samsung range. Rather do Surface devices, you mean like Windows, Microsoft Surfaces. I had a few of those and didn't really pan out so well. Yeah, maybe it was bad luck. Just like I know there's a few people who have started out with MacBooks and then promptly given up because the first 3 or 4 machines they had just didn't work out. You know, sometimes it just goes that way. Much prefer doing Samsung screens over iPhone. Really, Siega? Interesting. See, the thing with the iPhones for me is that, yeah, there's a very limited... You pretty much only have to add 3 screens a year, for the most part. And usually you can drop that many screens a year as well. So I'll see how I go. I've got I think it's an A12 to do. So I've ordered the service pack for it. And I've already disassembled it. There's a hell of a lot of fiddling there to take it out of the whole frame and The recent iPhones, things like 13 onwards, they are a lot simpler to do now. Like they don't even have the speaker assembly in the screen anymore. It's just you've got a little flex that you've got to install and that's about it. Where I was looking at this A12 and I see I've got quite a few things to shift. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's not a huge upfront investment for me. It's like, I think it was like $60 for the service kit. And then my time on top of that. Certainly the contact time per device seems like it's going to be higher for a Samsung. Funnily enough, I actually don't do board repairs much anymore with iPhones. It's just sort of not a thing I do anymore. I found that you sort of end up specializing one way or another. I think if you really want to do iPhone logic board repairs, you need to invest quite heavily in all the latest gadgets and tools to make sure it's the least likely to be stressful for you. At least now you can get all the board views and schematics without any trouble since we popped over in XEZ. So like I saw someone the other day was complaining that I think it was ZXW or I think it was ZXW didn't have schematics for 13 onwards, but I've got them, so they must be out there because I just picked them out of the XEZ dump that we use in Flex Board View. Started doing laptops and was amazed how low the success rate is. Not to mention repairs is cheaper than certainly the repairs are cheaper with the laptops. Well, in most cases, but it depends on what you're dealing with. The upside of phones, though, is that you only need a small workshop, whereas with laptops you do find you have to have a lot more space in your workshop. Okay, I think we've done what we have to do. That looks about right to me. Yeah, repair. I've noticed that, and I'm going to have to find a way to market towards those people, because if I want my sales to pick up for flexible review, I need to get those people. And I do have some plans, but it's just going to take a while to implement them. I want to make sure that it's implemented in a way that it pretty much works first time. So essentially, what we'll end up doing is we will have we'll have servers, and they will have a manifest of the boards and files they have, and then Flexible Review will query those servers, get the manifest, and then from there it'll be just the same as what we currently have, the library cache, where you just start typing in the board code or whatever, and it will come up with, okay, these places you can get it from. And as soon as you click on it, it just gets it, whether it's locally on your system or whether it's remote. And if it's remote, it'll get it once, and that's all it should need to do. But yeah, it's a bit of a tough market to crack, but I'm hoping I can sort that out. I need to, because there's just too many people who aren't willing to do 5 seconds of work to save themselves a bunch of money in the long term. And look, I understand that, I really do, which is why I'm going to try and capture them. Okay, press the start button, turn on the... and away we go. Alright. Regarding the flashlight, 4,000 or 5,000? Case color blue or easy to find? Oh, I don't... yeah, it's a tough call between 4,000 and 5,000, because it depends on the CRI of the light. If it's a high CRI, then a 5,000 is probably better. If it's a low CRI, then a 4,000 is better. You know, that warm light, it does tend to bode better with nighttime vision. So, I'm sort of after something that, yeah, like I said, I just want to have something, if you can just link it to me, or put the link in here, whatever, send it through me, on Discord, something like that. Yeah, I just want to be able to plug it into USB-C charge at the end of the night when I'm finish up for the night, all the kids are in, and then the next day it's charged and ready to go. Having 2 cells would probably be potentially better. I don't need a massive amount of lumens. I think those ones are maybe 300 to 500 lumen, so 1,000 lumen max would be, yeah. Repairs are a bit more time consuming. Flip fold repair. Oh, right, yeah. The monkey see, monkey do people, as long as you don't copy ZXWJ. Yeah, well, I'm actually not worried about, I'm not worried about legal issues from those people, as in JCID or ZXW. I'm worried more about Apple and Lenovo and Samsung and things like that, because they're the ones that really do have jurisdiction in my area to be able to reach out and say, hey, you can't do that. I couldn't give 2 hoots about the actual other, companies like ZXW or whatever. Just got to stretch this out, just knows that. Yeah, there we go. Hey, phone repair. Yeah, my problem's always just been with the legalities of having the files, like people being able to just download those files. Technically, it's not my, It's not my intellectual property to share. It's not their intellectual property to share. I'm talking about ZXW and XCZ, etc. But they get away with it because they're based in China or wherever. So there's not, those companies aren't going to bother, and it's not like it's going to stop them. They're just going to pop up elsewhere anyway. Whereas there's a lot more, I have a lot more reachability, and that's a problem. What kind of interface do you want on the torch? Super simple, but oh god, no. On, off. That's it. On, off, and these ones have... these ones just have, the zoom. With the wide or narrow. And that's it. That's all I really want. Just on, off. I mean, okay, I know almost all of them will have dim mode. That's all flash mode, dim flash on off. That's it. I don't need anything fancy. You can see these are pretty well worn. I've got a few of these, but they're good. They have survived quite well, but they are starting to get to the end of their life. Olight make great torches, but they're expensive. Okay. MagSafe type charger. Okay. I mean, I would like USB-C, unless, like, when I was a kid, we had an Arlec torch. It was, it was just NiCads or whatever, but it had an excellent wall mount charge system where you just, it was sort of like a, what do you call it? It was a moderate sized handheld. You held it by a big handle, and then at the end of the day, or when you finish it, you just put it straight back into the wall. It would sit upright and it would charge. And it was like great. So you always knew where it was. It was always going to be on the wall. You always knew it was going to be charged. It was a fantastic system, and no one seems to do that anymore. I just don't understand it. Let's see, what do we got? Rider. Okay. Okay, so that's a massive overkill, that one. Let's go schematics. Yeah, that's a little way too much for me. I don't. Yeah. Aim trits. Let's try this other one. So I suppose these are more pocket kind of torch sizes. Yeah, anything with these multi-element. This is probably a bit too small. 2600. Okay, that's pretty hefty. Yeah, I always seem to find they fall in between. The one I want falls in between. $189, 2600. What bothers me about these having such a high output, like 2600 lumens, is that they're going to get hot and they're going to be degrading the LED pretty quickly in terms of lifetime. That's why I'd be happier with something that size, but in 1000 lumens or something like that. Yeah, none of this 2600 stuff. I mean, obviously that's going to be peak, but you know what I mean? It's like they're going to drive it way high. Okay, so low is 300. Oh, they've got a medium? Okay. And so 8 hours at 300, that seems reasonable. Almost 3 hours at that. So yeah, I guess somewhere between low and medium is where I'd be running most of the time. So that could work. Oh crap! Forgot about my burning. What are you saying, bro? Oh, open door. I was like, oh, it was only 11 seconds ago. Yeah, it's still venting out, so we'll just let it go. Is this MC? Okay, right, so that's the MagSafe type port. And, oh great, yay, let's go, flashy. Now what would be good is if they had a wall mount like that had an integrated USB-C. I suppose that's something you could actually 3D print. Let's see, 26, 25. I mean, it's still a little bit of an overkill, but I guess we can't have everything. That's definitely an overkill. What's this? Two, three. Yeah, for the charging things, I feel like I'm going to have to 3D print something. I mean, this thing cost $38. And I mean, I would go up to maybe 90, maybe $100 for a good one. But yeah, this is $38 and it essentially does what I need to do. Maybe I can even find a way to just replace the mini USB mini port with a USB-C port. It is just a upright riser one. But like I said, I am worried that the actual lens element, not lens element, the LED is starting to age. I suppose I could always swap it out. Six 18650, yeah. Is that what these are? I'm pretty sure these are 18650, or is it 16850? I always get them mixed up. Workhorse flashlight blues, 4000 Kelvin. Okay. Well, I'll have a look. Let's see. 865, so yeah, I'm guessing that's 18650. Isn't it easy to install a big light in the yard? Assuming the trouble is there are so many areas in my yard that it's not practical. Well, we have a lot of areas that we've got to cover, and we already do have 3 spotlights, or floodlights rather, not spotlights, that are off this off the eaves. But that is not enough. You need more. Olight doesn't take a standard battery. Oh hell, why do they do that? Yeah, you see, that's the other thing. You want a standard battery. Because at some point it's going to wear out. And you want to be able to replace it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are 18650s. If I got my ruler out, I'd actually be able to tell. Okay. I've got some calipers here somewhere. Nope, don't know where the calipers are. So what is this? Yeah, this is a 650 and 18. Yep. 21800s, that would be about right, and 8 centimeters long. Let's see how those boards are. They should be ready to come out, and the fumes should have been sucked away. Jim, what do you got? Olightcom. Let's see what Jim's linked up. That is a weird, stumpy looking thing. Okay, that is a really stumpy one. That's a 1.8, so the 3.5 centimeter long battery. Now, do they have a long version of that? Because that would be good. This is what's really perplexing, is that you just want something that's standard, and nobody wants to standardize. I fear that with that smaller battery, I would actually churn through that in one night easily. Alright, let's have a look at the boards, see how badly they were done. get in trouble with that ground pin on a regular basis. Well, at least there's no bridging on any of the MSOP chips, so that's nice. Overall, the balling out is pretty much under control. Yeah, just a couple around the shunt. Alright, programming time. Okay, all good, all programmed. I might just go clean up some of those USB-C connectors. That looked a little bit unacceptable to me, just a smidge. Yeah, chat die. Extractor. At least the KN tip does make it pretty easy. No, my chat window definitely died. I've just refreshed it, and all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of comments that weren't there before. Makosis, just looking at your suggestion. 1200. Let's see, what's the charge technique on that one? Okay, type C, 1 amp. Alright, that might be worth me. Yeah, it might be worth me picking up one or two. is this NF flux. I see he took his video down. Sorry, I see that Northwest took his video down. I'm actually kind of surprised. I know he said that there was no real reason. He was, there was no threats or anything like that, but I do wonder. That actually is perfectly fine, that one. Out of what flux? This is some of Tim Herman's flux. I'm not sure if he makes it anymore, but I have several tubes of it, so I'm just going to keep using it. Yeah, it's kind of like those, what do you call it? Cotton buds that I got. Whoops. You don't want that short there, that will definitely cause some fun. It's those cotton buds I have. I bought 5,000 of them, and they're a little bit giving with their threads, leaving lots of little bits and pieces everywhere. But I've got 5,000 of them, so I don't want to just waste it. I'm going to keep using them. But this flux is perfectly fine for what I'm doing. I've still actually got some 559 from Amtech. They kind of really screwed themselves over badly, that company, in terms of the confusion that has been generated behind who actually has the rights to the flux and all that sort of jazz. It's like everybody's like, well, what the hell's going on? We just want flux that works, and it was working before, so that's a fine way of destroying a product. Hey Ryan. What I know of Northwest, I will say that the review he gave on the NRF flux, honestly, if I was NRF, knowing what Northwest is like, I would actually be pleasantly shocked and surprised and happy about it. I would have been probably making a video thanking the guy, saying, wow, thanks very much. That was a far better review than I would have expected. I mean, there were some nitpicks there, but honestly, like I said, if you know Northwest, then that's exactly the sort of, I'm going to say bollocks, exactly the sort of bollocks you expect. Hey Boots, what are you doing up at this hour, man? You're gonna wear your dreads out staying up this late. Yeah, so if I was Alex, I would have taken that one as a win. Yeah, Miles, that's that's the less polite way of saying it, and I would definitely say it's to a fault. Yeah, I mean, I get the idea of you want things perfect and all that, but it gets to a point where it's how do I describe it? Impractically perfect, and not even necessarily applicable to all situations. Yeah, when you write software and things like that, or you create products, you've got to try and aim for your greater market. And there's going to be some people who don't like the way you've done something, or the way a particular product works. Maybe it doesn't work with the way you want to do things. So you got to accept that kind of thing. There's going to be people who go, you know what, this just didn't work for me, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. What I hate is when people tell me this didn't work for me, and then try to tell me that I need to change because it didn't work for them, and thus it must not work for anybody. And it's like, no, actually, it just doesn't work for you, but for most people, it does work just fine. So I'm sorry, you don't get to try and pull that kind of superiority crap on me. Especially considering after 30, 40 years of programming, you get used to those sort of tricks. And you you say, well, look, I'll take your suggestion, and then you just feed it into the shredder for the most part. I think people need to realize that suggestions are just that. They're suggestions. And the more you try to place some sort of forced weight behind it, of like, I know best or anything like that, the less likely then that that suggestion is actually going to be looked at or considered with any sort of sincerity. Because you're just tainting it. You're poisoning your submission. The best way to get your submission to be looked at in a non-judgmental and good way is just simply say, be very matter-of-fact about it. Say, hey, I wonder if this would work or whatever. Don't come in saying this is the only way to do it or whatever, because you're just going to get people's backs up and they're going to tell you to fuck right off, even if it's a good idea. And then it'll come out 6 months later or a year later, slightly modified, just to sort of go, well, yeah, it was a decent idea, but you presented it poorly, and now I'm going to provide it, but no credit to you. Hey, Retro. Perfect is the enemy of great, most definitely. Not slept well for 5 years because of no alcohol. Oh man, I haven't had alcohol in like 20 plus years now. Hey there, Mountain Hide. Boss was like that. Nothing's ever good enough, and it's never his fault. No one wanted to work with him. The company doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, I mean, you've got to have flexibility. And there are areas where being pedantic do matter, and there are areas where it's just a preference. And I think some people don't understand that distinction. Sometimes you most definitely will have blind spots as a software developer. Absolutely, unquestionably, you will have blind spots. And there have been times where I've had suggestions sent in, and the nice thing is they were done well. And initially I was like, nah, I don't see how that would play out. I don't think that's any good. But then I sort of thought, well, let's see what it's going to be like and give it a shot. Make up a bit of test code and have a go at it. And then I'm like, you know what, this is actually really good. And then you implement it and you thank the person for sending through the suggestion, things like that. And it works out. Everybody's happy. I'm going to have to do some jerry rubbing to get the smudging off. That's what teams are for. The trouble is when you get teams that have people in them who are like that though, and they just commandeer everything, get in the way. Like I've seen projects completely miss their deadlines, go completely to the shitter and end up getting nowhere, all because someone was stonewalling over which sorting algorithm to use. And we're talking like a 1%, maybe 2% difference in the algorithm performance. It was insignificant, but it became an ideological battle. And this person essentially just sort of locked the project, stopped anyone from making headway on it because they controlled the API and things like that. So, and they destroyed the project. It cost millions because of it. So you got to be careful with these people. It's good to have people who are very pedantic for a lot of things. If you like controlling an API, funnily enough, you want to make sure that people don't just do stuff willy-nilly. But you do need to often have someone else who's got oversight, because it just becomes a power play. Mycosis, you have tachycardia. Oh, Wow. Jeez, technically that's not fun. Ah, damn, Joey Rub didn't work properly. I did it wrong. But I am happy to say that these days, so best I can tell, I'm fairly immune to most of the bollocks that people try to pitch at you to get their way. Like, oh, it's not a professional tool unless you do this, or if you do this, then I will share it to lots of people, and then, yeah, all those sort of promises of greatness are really just lies. Point lies so they can get what they want done now, and that's about it. The best suggestions are almost always the ones that are very humble. Ah, so much Joey rubbing with my pink cloth. Alright, that's that. Let's get some tape and screens. I don't know how many of you guys have been in software development teams, you know, working for corporations, in-house stuff. Let me know if you've experienced the same sort of things. Can the 7.4LS 244N be replaced with a 7FCT? That's a good question, actually. I'm not exactly sure if the LS can be replaced with the FCT. I think like an FCT can probably be replaced with the HC, but I don't know about an LS. So you would have to check on the specs on the... There should be a compatibility matrix somewhere that will tell you whether you can replace an LS with a FCT. You know, say FCT, I think that's like fast something, as opposed to LS, which is pretty much just low and slow. In most cases, you can usually do the swap, but sometimes designs actually rely on really subtle characteristics of a particular style of the discrete logic. But yeah, I'd go looking for a compatibility matrix. There should be one around that covers those two. There used to. I think there's even one in the Art of Electronics. Please don't bring the memories back. So much time wasted. Oh, meetings. Oh, God. Yeah, meetings are sort of like such wasteful things for the most part. Yeah, sometimes it's very important to have meetings, but for the most part, meetings seem to be more about middle managers ticking off their importance. I mean, I could be prejudiced there because, yeah, I never bothered to get into middle management myself. Yeah, I had my team, but I wasn't middle management. I was more of a foreman than management. The low power shockety. Yeah, okay, there, yeah, so weird. That's what I mean, like, my hesitation was there. Like I said, there should be a compatibility matrix out there for it. The other thing is sometimes, depending on the product, but there's plenty of times where people don't realize that they've inadvertently spec'd something, like say picking LS style, they don't even know that it comes with certain restrictions or behaviors. Hey JFix, how's it going there? Okay. Yeah, at least they're not like the 4000 series CMOS, that's always fun. Okay, there are fallback ones. You kidding me? Seems like, what, Joho, what the heck? Alright, Joho. Well, we're going to have to see what that is like when it arrives. Thank you very much, Joho. Thank you very much. We'll give that a shot and see what that's like. And that would be correct, yes. Too late for me to tell you otherwise. Right, I'm just... Oh, there. I thought I had more cases before I used the fallback ones, but I can't seem to find them anywhere. Alright, I just have to use these. I'm just going to go through a bunch of chips I got lying around and making a list. No, they're blank face ones. They're also blank face. Yeah, so I got a bunch of blank faces there. Like I said, I could have sworn I had 4 more of the others left. It's always psychologically quite distressing when you cannot find the things that you're expecting to find. I might just have to leave them be. Like even the fallback ones, I don't have any backings for them. And that's the weird thing, I could have sworn I had a bunch of rear side panels for that. I'll be right back. Oh, Joho, was it coming, is it going to be shipping international or is it going to be Australia ship out, like drop shipping? Oh, we've got another blank plate. Yeah, I got the front plates, but where the heck are all the back plates? Surely I didn't perfectly run out the last time I made a batch. Well, I guess I must have. Well, that's just a little peculiar. I mean, it's not a big issue in all honesty because I can just get MacGyver to print me another batch because I've got enough all ready to go without needing to worry. Okay, so I guess I really should test these before I go any further. Okay, alright Joe, well, we'll see how that goes. Is this already charged? Oh, right. Yep, That's already it. That's fine. Hey creature, welcome along. Mycosis, there is a 42A, which is not me, that's next door. That's it. But Google knows my address, because it's my business address. Hey Charles Mott. Alright, so these are basically ready to go. Hey creature, that's not good. Heart flutters, not at your age. I suppose it's not really, it's not something that discriminates with age, does it? Is it? Haven't believed how much DDR4 has gone up. Buying 8 gig sticks for $20. Oh wow, that's gone up. Why are they going up? It's just because I mean they'd still be in production, wouldn't they? Is it just because TSMC is playing silly buggers with the US or what? Oh, they stopped production DDR4. Oh, okay. I think I've got about 64 gigs, around the place, so enough to get me through with the machines I've got. Alright, so these currently do not have cases for them, but that's okay. So I can get some more. So we can just add them into here for now. At least I've got plenty of stock to ship out. I mean, I could... Oh, sorry, I just don't have any of the backs. So I swear I had more backs. This is the second time now I've caught myself out like this. Oh, somehow I got a PayPal notification. Chris, if you're in here, Mr. King, thank you for the 10 US. Yes, thank you, Chris, if you're in here. Let's see. Alright, I need to get back into Discord at some point. They still make DDR4 but in smaller batches. Okay. I mean, I imagine the next boards that I'm buying, like the next motherboards I buy, they'll be DDR5. So whatever DDR4 I've got here will be the end of it. Coffee went from... Yeah, coffee I definitely noticed went up. I also noticed places like Woolworths or Australia's supermarket, they used to do 50% discount every sort of 3 weeks or 4 weeks on the coffee. So whatever, each coffee sort of tend to rotate, and if you waited right time, you would get it half price essentially. Now it's more like 20 or maybe 30% discount, so they're feeling the pinch. And yeah, cocoa's gone shocking as well. Mind you, there's not much in modern chocolate anyway. Fake chocolate. Let's see what trash I got in here. Yeah. I have got so many of these old USB-C meters that well, they're not. Crap. I see people using these. These are such crap. I mean, okay, that's me being unfair. The problem I had with these is that they're not unidirectional, so you can't just swap them around. Won't go both directions. So you got input, output. So, I mean, it does say that it's input and output, but sometimes you just got to swap things around, and they didn't allow it. This is the first ever USB-C meter I bought, and I remember being horrified at the fact that it didn't work when I plugged it in. I was like, this doesn't work, and I was about to launch an Amazon, refund process, and then I realized that it was actually because these particular meters, they need something to be attached to them in order for them to start drawing power. So does this work? No. useless thing. Actually, they should plug if I plug this in. Nope. Yeah, so that's a big pain I always found with these, is you never knew. Is it because it's dead, or is it because the device is not drawing power? Such a pain in the backside. So yeah, that's why I changed over to mine. Yeah, there's another one. So I certainly got quite a few, because I was trying to... this was before I was trying to design my own. And I just got so sick of them. This is the other problem. They fall apart. So you get a good one and it still falls apart. Oh, that one actually does come up. Yeah. And then the next problem is the OLED. It's bright, but not bright enough for me to read properly. Like if you compare the size of the text. Let's just grab one from over here. Oh. It's like, hey, where'd you die? And then I realise it's because... There we go. Anyway. So, I mean, you have to get the angle pretty much just right, whereas with the reflective type, I can read it far easier. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. The OLED's really pretty. But if you're working in a really bright workshop, it starts to become hard to read. Whereas the reflective, you'd like, no matter, you almost got, I'd say you probably got a 150, 160 degree angle. Whereas the OLED, not so much. Yeah, I guess some people like the pretty colors. The text is also a bit smaller, but it is higher resolution text. I just prefer a nice solid reflective. If I want to get fancy, I will go for vacuum fluorescent display, VFD, rather than OLED. Again, still only monochrome for the most part, but vastly more visible. You can change the drive level for the OLED. Yeah, I'm sure you can, but the thing is, who's going to actually do that? And then you just burn them out anyway. The color will start fading out. Not all of them, but it's still in a way an issue with OLED. Anyways, I'm very happy with the reflective displays. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're just saying they don't last as long. Exactly, yeah. VFDs are definitely where it is for me. I very much wish we had more VFD displays, but they're few and far between and very expensive. Okay, well, throw this thing in the bin. I really hoped that this almost would have stopped me developing my own if it was bidirectional, but it wasn't. So I was forced to have to plug this into, what was it? Yeah, this would be plugged into the power brick, and then you'd have to go off to your device, which meant that you couldn't read what was going on here unless your power brick was right there. And it was like, no, so close. That was so close to being a perfectly good design, and it wasn't. And of course it doesn't have on-screen display. Nixie tube meter, I'll take that. Yeah, Nixies will be good. Yep. And to grow. Alright, well, that's it for tonight for me. I am going to go off and I'll go do micros insulin. That was the last of the USB-C meters in the current batch, unless I go and buy another, group of parts. Like I said, it's around about $1,000 for each group of parts that I buy, and sort of the point where I get the maximum discount, but without having to overdo things. So if I go to the next level of numbers, say a block of 100 or whatever, or maybe 250, then I do make a little bit more of a saving, but it's only like 5% better than the first slot. The first slot I get around about a 25% drop. The next one is only 5% additional. Hey Tom, hey Martin. Oh yeah, I did say hi to Martin before. And so yeah, I've got to weigh up. Do I get another block? Maybe I should, even if I don't do anything with the parts for now. I should just get another block, because if I take the time to make a video selling this stuff, this is the other problem I have, and this is a flaw in me, is that I find it very hard to make advertising videos for my products. I live under this illusion that the product will sell itself, and to a degree it does, but I'm fighting against a lot of other people with similar products, and it took over a year for people to even start catching on as to why this type of meter was more useful in a lot of situations than the other direct plug-in ones. So I have this problem with not really having the capability of selling my own stuff, and I need to work on that. I need to sort of swallow my distaste for my fear of it sounding contrived, and try and sell this stuff, because I think it's a good product, but I rely too much on the product to do its own selling, and that's just not going to happen. And the sales prove that it's just not going to happen. Same with software, my Flexboard View. I need to make sales pitch videos, so I'm working on that. I just got to teach myself how to do it, and do it decently well. Probably wouldn't sell enough to justify the cost and chance of using it in another project. Well, yeah, good on you, Miles. Yeah, okay, yeah, just put a big downer on everything. Good job. Thank you so much, Miles. The LCD panels I inevitably will use. I always do. The connectors I probably will. The tiny 212s I definitely will. Probably the only thing I'm not guaranteed to be using again would be perhaps the sensor, the INA 237 or whatever it is I'm using. Yeah, anyway, Miles killed the mood. Good job. We really appreciate what you did. Yeah, couldn't resist. Nice one, jerk. Alright, okay, that's it. Enough for me. Enough depression for me. Yep. But it is the thing I need to work on. I need to work on selling my products more, producing advertising videos, not over-the-top bullshit videos, but just videos that demonstrate, look, this is why it's different and this is why it helps. You can get rid of your power supply and all this other stuff if you just switch over to something like this. Right, I've done enough talking. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one, or I might see you on some of the other live streams that are probably happening tonight. Until then, you all take care. I'll catch you later. Where's my bloody mouse? Got it.